Welcome to Savage and Average. I am your host, Matt McChesney. That is my co-host, Travis Jones, and the producer of this incredible podcast. I mean, I don't know any other way to say it. We are coming to you from Triple Creek Ranch up here in Longmont, Colorado. My parents' amazing horse facility up here in Boulder County. We're up here for the evening, hanging out with the fam on fall break with the boys. And we've got a great show for you here tonight. Coach Mike Sanford, the head coach of your Colorado Buffaloes, will be joining us here in about 30 minutes to talk about a huge win for CU against Cal over the weekend and so much more moving forward into a brand new season for CU as they are now 1-0 under intern coach Mike Sanford and so much more. But like always, our show is brought to you by our great sponsors. And one of them is Colorado Center for Functional Medicine. And they're going to be opening the show for us today and our title sponsor. So big thanks to Colorado Center for Functional Medicine and all that they do.
Matt McChesney here, and any of you that are looking to improve performance and get your health in check, reach out to our friends at the Colorado Center for Functional Medicine. Their men's health optimization plan is designed specifically for males that can identify specific health priorities which many doctors fail to address. They use precision blood work, which looks at your hormones levels, your micronutrient levels, your insulin, and many other markers which are often overlooked. This plan can also include an advanced body composition analysis to see where your body fat, your muscle mass, your visceral fat levels are at any order to establish individual nutrition plans for every single client. Stop relying on fad diets, crazy workout programs, and bro science. Health and fitness are not the same thing. If you want true results, they can help you at CCFM. Mention the podcast Savage and Average to receive a 10% discount on every single optimization plan, as well as a free body composition analysis and nutrition consultation. Their website is www.ccfuncmed.com. That's www.ccfuncmed.com, or call them at 303-500-3038.
All right, so Travis, let's get straight into this. Thank you to CCFM for all that they do. Their protein is an incredible product that we sell at 60 Football Academy down here in Parker. So make sure you get down and check it out. We'll go straight into the Denver Broncos and that monstrosity on Monday Night Football. I mean, look, Mr. Jones, bro, that was an absolute disaster of a football game last night. And personally, I think that the Broncos are headed down the toilet bowl to hell right now if they don't figure this out.
Yeah, I think what's happened is there's so much distrust with the fan base, with the head coach, and and I say this with the Chris Farley air quotes, leadership that's going on there. Hackett was going to get dinged on that, whether he went for it or whether he punted it, and that's the bed that's been made, unfortunately, and that he's got to lie in with that because of the just the questionable calls and not doing what you should be doing in those scenarios.
And look, Russell Wilson has been an unlimited disappointment, and Mr. Unlimited, his alter ego,
Mr. Unlimited.
Look, he's setting himself up for this shit. And I was on 92.5 altitude today and actually got a phone call this afternoon. I didn't even get to tell you yet, Travis. Breaking some news here on Savage and Average. But I'm going to be on altitude now every day from 10 to noon for the rest of the football season, and then moving into the off season. We'll see how it goes, but pretty excited about it. And just got the phone call this afternoon, so that was pretty awesome. A lot of hard work is paid off in that regard. So Chris Dempsey and I will be doing a show on altitude 10 to noon. But that said, I was on today and I was talking to Dover and Hastings and Dempsey about this. And I mean, look, the Nuggets tip off tomorrow night. The Avs have already dropped the puck on defending the Stanley Cup title, and people are ready to move on from the Broncos already. And I'm dumbfounded by this. I mean, 6 weeks ago, if you would have told me that they'd be sitting at 2-4, have the worst offense in pro football, inept at the quarterback position after spending $250 million. Let me reiterate, $250 million to solidify that position. Dover went over the dead cap hits. Okay, so I presented this question. At what point do you draft a quarterback with the top pick that you have, whether it's a second rounder, third rounder, whatever's left after the Wilson trade next year or the year after, and say to Russell, we can't play like this. You can sit on the roster and collect. Look, listen to this. If he were to be cut, his dead cap is $100 million next year. $100 million. So that means that essentially, if you look at the way that they structure the contract, we are stuck with Mr. Unlimited until 2027. And even in 2027, it's a $55 million cap hit to cut him. So I think that at the beginning of this whole process, I underestimated the corniness of this dude and just how fast it would rub his teammates and how fast it would rub me wrong and you and so many other people. Look, man, I think that he's really at a point here where he's about to lose his team. And I think Hackett's already lost the team. I think the players know that he's not the future. They can see the writing on the wall. He will not be the coach next year, especially if this shit continues. They had 156 yards and penalties last night against the Chargers. That's the most since 1968 or some shit. When Gerald fucking Ford was in office.
I was just gonna say Gerald Ford. Like
Gerald, the great Michigan Wolverine. So I think that the Broncos have put themselves in this position where, I mean, look at it like this. Their defense is super elite. Like they can rush the shit out of the passer. This Browning kid looks like a reincarnation of Von Miller. I mean, they are elite in the secondary. They got dudes everywhere. That Singleton cat, the Philadelphia linebacker they picked up last year, 23 tackles last night. And they are squandering it with a $250 million price tag to go with it. Yeah. On top of that, Melvin Gordon has become ultimate turd. And now he's demanding a trade and he wants in or he wants out. He doesn't know what he wants. And he's become like the guy that all the young guys are gravitating to on the sideline and complaining and talking to. And that is not the guy we want information funneling through. He is an absolute waste. So, I mean, I don't know where the Broncos go from here, but I know this. My boys are coming in this week, okay? My Jets are coming in to Mile High this week, and they are not fucking around. They are 4-2, and they are really good on defense, and they are flying around. They are bought into Coach Saleh's message. And I would not be surprised at all if the Denver Broncos are in for a real test on Sunday.
Yeah, you know, it has some flavor of a underlying tones with the new ownership. Really, their move was Russell. Everything before that was, prior ownership and with Peyton and whatnot. And so, I there's some undertones that are going on here that I think are going to play out here as the season progresses, even into the off season. You and I were kind of talking about that, but there's a storyline that's happening that has Sean Payton attached to it and Russell Wilson.
I would go for that in like a heartbeat. Sean Payton coming in to coach the Denver Broncos and roll with Russell Wilson. Russell wants to be Drew Brees 2.0 anyway. So that makes a lot of sense to me. And honestly, if I'm the Waltons right now and I'm sitting up there watching this disaster, they got the Jets at home, then they go to England to play Jacksonville. The Jacksonville game's a toss-up. They're not very good, but they're playing better than Denver. So if they come home 2-6 from the Jackson or from the London game and that's their bye week, I think Hackett's out. I think they roll with an intern coach. And they go after Sean Payton and they do anything and everything humanly possible to make that work. And they need to, let's be real, they need to do this because as of right now, the Broncos have put themselves in a position where they went out and got a 12-year veteran quarterback and mixed him with a first-year head coach who doesn't really know what he's doing. And it should have been red flags at training camp, but everybody in politically correct land was like, oh my God, don't say anything about training camp and they might get hurt and we don't need to practice, which turned out to be a massive fucking mistake. All right, so moving off the Broncos, We can sit here and complain about them all we want, but we'll be doing that the whole damn show. Thank you to Colorado Center for Functional Medicine for bringing you our Bronco Talk today. The rest of the NFL is going to be brought to you by our good friends at Rico's Burritos. Make sure you check them out. Rico's Burritos is a great sponsor here for Savage and Average. Thank you for all that they do.
This is Matt McChesney from Savage and Average, the owner and operator down here at 60 Football Academy, and I want to talk to you about our friends over at Rico's Burritos. The Rico Burritos keep me rolling on a daily basis. My sons eat them constantly. My 12-year-old over here is staring at me right now as he scarfs down another one of these badass burritos from Rico's Burritos. It's a hearty 10-ounce breakfast burrito offered in 8 different flavors, 3 delicious breakfast combinations, 5 scrumptious lunch options, and the pride that is taken in offering a high-end restaurant quality burrito is second to none. The finest ingredients you can find, authentic recipes that have been in the Garcia family for 30 years. Young Cruz is in the program over here working his ass off on a daily basis. Rick Garcia, his father played at Oregon State back in the day. They put the same passion and intensity that they have in every walk of life, in their training and chasing everything down that they want into their family business, Rico's Burritos. For over 30 years, the ingredients and flavors have been identified as the best in the business. And the moment you bite into one of these unbelievably delicious burritos, you will know. Check it out. The website is www.ricosburritos.com. That's www.ricosburritos.com. And it'll give you all the locations, how to purchase the burritos, so on and so forth. On Facebook and Instagram, Facebook is at Rico's Burritos, and Instagram is Real Rico's Burritos. That is Rico's Burritos, a proud sponsor of Savage and Average over here at 60 Football Academy, and we are rolling.
All right, so let's start off with the Jets. Jets go to Green Bay and get a massive win on the road. They were 8-point dogs, ended up winning 27-10, had a block punt scoop score, multiple sacks, hella pressure on Rodgers all day. Sauce Gardner was running the routes of some of these guys on the side on Green Bay's team. I think the Jets have put themselves in position here to be a team that has to be reckoned with in the East. We'll see if Buffalo's obviously the class of that division. They went to Kansas City and got a big 24-20 win. Josh Allen then taking them down at the end of the game to win. I can't wait until I see my first Jet Buffalo game. The Jets come to Denver this week. I'm very interested to see how the Broncos are going to block Quinnen Williams. Quinnen Williams, when he was drafted, everybody thought he was a bust a little bit, but he was just immature. He was drafted at 20 years old. Now he's 23 and he is crushing people and fully developed into his frame. Definitely warranting that option and a re-up. They need to sign him immediately. He's the core of that defense moving forward. You've got an elite player at every level now in New York. You've got an elite player in Sauce Gardner. You've got an elite player in C.J. Mosley, and you've got an elite player in Quinnen Williams, and that's how you have elite defenses. So I think the Jets beat the Broncos this upcoming week in Denver, and I'm not saying it's handily because I think the Broncos' defense is real, but I do think the Jets will make enough plays to win that game on the road, although this is back break time for the Broncos. They dropped this one, and the season is kaput, as they say. Next game here in the NFL topic, the Eagles. All right. The Eagles mopped the Cowboys. Not really. I mean, they only beat them 26-17, although they were up 20-0 at one point in the game. Hey, Travis, are the Eagles real, or have they just benefited off of a schedule that has been, not great, but not terrible? They're playing the Cowboys with a half-loaded gun with no Dak Prescott. How do you feel about Philly?
I think Philly's good coming out of the NFC. We talked about at the beginning of the season, really the head runner for the Super Bowl, the favorite for the Super Bowl is going to come out of the AFC, leaning towards that AFC West based on the quarterback situation that was there, but that really hasn't panned out. But I really like how Philly has been this year. And I think they are the real deal. And I think, we've got 2 weeks before the deadline, and they've got an extra first round pick for next year's draft. And I think they're going to pull a trigger on someone and make some moves that's really going to put them and solidify them as the favorite going into the, the latter half, the second half of the season.
See, I'm like watching the Eagles and I'm sitting there going, what else could they add? Dallas Goedert's a great tight end. They're loaded at the receiver position. They have multiple backs. Jalen Hurts is perfect for the system they're running. Defensively, they got dudes everywhere. Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham is another Michigan Wolverine, has lit the fountain of youth. They're elite in the secondary. And I agree with you. They have multiple first-round picks that they could trade or they could keep. And Nick Sirianni, what I love so much about Sunday night's game, the game was but at the end of the game, when Nick Sirianni's on the sideline yelling, yeah, go back to Dallas, fuck you. That's what football is, dog. And all the people that just watch it and complain about it because it's so ruthless and violent. That's why people like us fucking love it. And that's what it was. Philly and Dallas, there's no love loss. That they played massively big football games throughout their history against each other. And this was another one. And the one in Dallas at the end of the year when Dak's healthy might be for the division, although Philly looks like they may be the class of the NFC. Another team in the NFC East that is balling at 5-1 right now is the Giants. And Brian Daboll has come in and really got Danny Dimes moving in the right direction. He looks like he's the future there in New York after 4 years of everybody, wanting to lynch him essentially in the state of New York. The Giants, Saquon Barkley is healthy. They are killing it defensively right now. Kayvon Thibodeau looks like a hit there for them out of Oregon, playing with a ton of passion and giving it his all every weekend and really looking like a hit there at the number 5 or 6 pick. This is another team. They went out and re-signed Landon Collins off the street, a guy who made multiple Pro Bowls for them to solidify their secondary. And look, the Giants are a perfect example of what good coaching does. So they've been atrocious for years, but good coaching, of course, it evens out some of your deficiencies. And Brian Daboll has gone through the ringer as a coach to know what he wants to do and what he doesn't. And he's, got a track record of turning a good quarterback in Josh Allen into a great one. And the Giant ownership identified that and said, that's our guy. And when you're looking at a guy like Brian Daboll, the Broncos didn't even interview that cat. They just went straight with Hackett. So makes you wonder the guy who's making decisions up there in that front office 6 weeks ago, he looked like the Magic Man, and now he looks like Captain Mud.
Yeah.
So
well, and here's the thing with the Giants, man. They're coming out of that NFC East. And honestly, I think the NFC East is laying out like we thought that the AFC West was going to be.
Yeah,
and really, you've got 3 teams that are going to, especially with the South looking like, a high school
boo-boo.
A high school conference.
The South is terrible.
The West, I mean, you've got San Francisco there. They're going to give some troubles. The Rams are there. They're going to give some troubles. But honestly, I think, the NFC could come down to really an NFC East showdown for the conference.
Now, I wouldn't be surprised if the NFC East is the NFC title game this year. Although, if Tampa Bay can figure this out, and they're our next discussion here, they're always going to be the hard to deal with Tom Brady. And the Southern Division of the NFC is trash, just like the AFC Southern Division. You're probably only going to get one team out of each of those. Tampa Bay seems like they're the favorite out of the South. But Atlanta is 3-3 and on their heels. And if Brady Jared's roughing the passer call, which was horse shit when they played Tampa, he sacked Tom Brady and got a roughing the passer penalty. And that essentially won Tampa Bay the game, put them in position to kick a field goal. Without that call and ball going back to Atlanta, maybe Atlanta's 4-2 and sitting there first in the division, and Tampa Bay's 2-4. So the refs have swung some of the advantages here towards Tampa Bay, and they tried to do it again in the Pittsburgh game, but Tampa wasn't having it. The players just weren't matching Tom Brady's intensity on the sideline. And there's a lot of people now that are kind of perturbed at the GOAT, that he's yelling at his teammates and blah, 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 blah. And again, this is another circumstance where I got to say, man, all you softies really need to check yourself here. It's his fucking job to jump everyone's ass. There are a bunch of young guys. Ryan Jensen, his starting center, whose Dungeon family is out for the year or out for half the year. And they're really missing his leadership up front. Tristan Wirfs is only one dude. The other 4 are really average and not playing well. So he's on their ass. I would ask this question. Would you rather him go and sit down and isolate himself and just look at the iPad and not talk to him? Because that in turn would paint him in a different light. So Tampa Bay, I think, is still a playoff team, but man, they've got some shit they need to figure out down there too. They're too talented to be this bad.
Well, and I tell you what, I don't want to see Tom Brady when he's got, his back to the corner and he's got to fight for it. Because if there's a quarterback in the NFL right now that you have to be careful for, it's going to be him, because he's the only one that's played in both eras. So if
you piss him off and he'll tear you up.
Exactly. And
so he's going to tear up his
he might as well coach the game.
And then when he's done tearing up his teammates, he's going to go tear up the rest of the NFL. I would not put it past him that his personal life issues are not contributing to this very well either.
You can't say that they're not, honestly. I mean, if you can't,
there's no way that they're not affecting him. If they weren't affecting him, he would truly be a fucking robot. Right. And he's just not. He's a dude. So, and the last game I want to talk about is Kansas City Buffalo. Now, look, Kansas City Buffalo, they're trying so hard to try and turn this into Brady versus Manning. They were even talking about it in the broadcast. Look, Allen and Mahomes are special. They are. They're awesome. I love watching them. Josh Allen is John Elway on super steroids. Like that. I'm not saying he's on steroids. I'm saying he's like a superhero built in John Elway's form. Like he's John Elway that runs 4.5. And Mahomes is like a mix of all these different great quarterbacks, and he's unstoppable. And the things he does, no one else can do. Now, all that said, you have to play for something in order for it to be great. And they've been playing in the playoffs consistently. Mahomes has a ring. Allen hasn't been to the dance yet. Hopefully he can get there this year, although my Jets are looking pretty good. We'll see. Boy, that would be awesome. But I will say this. I need to see them in AFC title games consistently. I need to see both of them with rings playing in AFC title games consistently for the next 10 years if you want me to get behind Tom Brady and Peyton Manning type rivalry comparisons. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, they definitely have the potential to become that. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. There needs to be some experience in the postseason and in the championship levels for that comparison to happen.
All right, so we're going to have Coach Sanford here from the University of Colorado Golden Buffaloes joining us in the next 5 minutes here. He'll jump on the Zoom call. So we're going to transfer away from the NFL talk now and go straight into college football. And we'll try and get as much of this covered before the head coach of Colorado comes on and joins us here on Savage and Average. So let's go straight into this. Michigan and your son's team, Connor Jones, great Dungeon family member up there redshirting for Michigan Wolverines this year. Won Scout Team Player of the Week for Michigan, which is big time. Good job to Connor Jones up there in Ann Arbor, busting his ass and giving a good look to the vets, and it worked. They went out and put 500 yards rushing on Penn State and beat them 41-17. Michigan, Joel Klatt said this on his show, who is an ex-teammate of mine, that Michigan is built to beat Ohio State, and they surely are, and they are looking good. And I said to you, they look like they're the kind of team that can win a national title, and they might be better than they were last year, which is fucking scary. So, I mean, you're intimately locked into Go Blue. How big of a win was that against Penn State?
I think it was a huge win just because of, the narrative that was going on there, the week schedule. Now they're sitting with something like the 30th ranked strength of schedule in the nation. They beat the number 10 ranked team coming into that weekend. Also happened to be the 5th best rushing defense, and they put up 400, and I think it was 418. 100 and close to 180 from Donovan Edwards, 163, I believe, 170 from Blake Corum,
Edwards might be better than Corum, and that's scary.
Well, they're two different types of running backs, though. I mean, Blake is he's your running back that you're going to throw between the tackles, even though he may not look like it. He's got the strength to go through between the tackles. So does Donovan, but Donovan brings another layer that you can use him in the passing game. And we saw that in the Big Ten championship. We've seen hints of it this season here. That kid's special. And Blake Corum, he's in the Heisman chat, and he needs to be, he should be, he deserves to be in there. He just picked up the midseason first team All-American. nod there, along with a couple of guys.
No, he's getting invited. He's getting invited, bro.
Yeah,
like, he's going. He is going to New York for the Heisman.
The numbers that are that he's put up are they're comparing him, to Henry and Ingram, the past running backs that are the most recent.
And look, if they can continue this, then they put themselves in position to have another undefeated against undefeated Thanksgiving Day game or day after Thanksgiving game against Ohio State for all the fucking marbles. And that's what they play for in Ann Arbor. And we will see. This year is at the shoe, and Ohio State is not going to take that ass beating they took last year kindly, and we'll see how it goes.
Yep.
Okay, so Tennessee beats Alabama in Rocky Top, and the entire state of Tennessee loses their damn mind. $250,000 fine for ripping the goalpost down and carrying them out of Neyland. And I'm sure that they will pay that every week. It was a great crowd storming, and Tennessee, they haven't beat Alabama since 2006, and they laid it on them. I thought it was a massive game for the weekend. Anytime anybody can challenge one of the great programs like Alabama, that's a good thing. You're looking at potential chaos in college football this year with multiple one-loss teams and only 4 spots. I wish that they could get the 12-team playoff going this year, but you can wish in one hand and crap in the other one and see which one fills up faster. So Tennessee gets a massive win, and they seem to be going down the right path down there with Coach Heupel at UT after beating their huge rival in Alabama. Okay, so now it is my honor and pleasure to bring on my man and the head coach of the University of Colorado, Mr. Mike Sanford, is joining us here on Savage and Average over Zoom, and we'll have him for about 20 minutes to talk about a massive win on Saturday for the Colorado Buffaloes over the Cal Golden Bears in Folsom. So, Coach Sanford, welcome to the show, brother. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing, Chaz?
Hey, brother. How are you? Man, it's good to see you, dog.
Hey, good to see you too, man. Hey, the beard's looking good, man. You must have put some time into that one.
I'm saying you got a little bit of point going in yours right there. You got some beard. You got some stuff you're putting in yours these days.
Not quite as good as yours, man. I got some time. I got to keep growing this bad boy.
I don't know. The skill players with beards, it's anybody that looks like Danny Fouts I'm with. So
yeah, Edelman had a strong one too.
Strong beard. That was a strong skill player beard. Skill player beards are tricky. Because if you get a real strong skill player beard, that guy's bad.
How about your boy Fitzmagic, man? He had a pretty good one too, didn't he?
Fitzmagic. I was a rookie with Ryan in St. Louis, and he showed up like first day clean shaven. Yeah. But at the end of training camp, this dude's beard looked like Gandalf, and I was like, "How do you do this?"
Awesome.
All right, so Coach Sanford joining us here, the head coach of your Colorado Golden Buffaloes, sitting at 1-0 under Coach Sanford. I love that after the game when you said, we're 1-0, and the best part about this is a chance we get to be 2-0. You guys go to Corvallis on Saturday night. It's a team that last year CU beat at home in Folsom. So a lot of guys have a lot of similarity to that, and we'll be having a lot of good thoughts going to Corvallis, a tough place to win. Just talk about the momentum off of that game Saturday, and just there's a lot of folks that are like, oh, well, they haven't won a game. Why are they storming the field? You had to be there to feel the emotion and just the outpouring of positive emotion onto the field after that victory. Talk about how special that was on Saturday.
I mean, it was insane. It's my wife said she's been in this deal with me for 18 years and really 5 before that as a player at Boise State. But she said that was like one of the most incredible games she's been a part of. And, that we're talking, 3 Fiesta Bowls and 2 Rose Bowls and 2 Pac-12 championships. And I know it sounds crazy, right? Like everybody's saying it, you're 0-5, but I think it's just more just seeing Folsom like literally come together in a time of adversity, and I know that sounds, maybe hokey, but like you could just sense it. You could feel it. There was a belief. There's, as I know, there's so much tradition here. And like, I believe in this place and I believe that this is a special place. I've had a chance to get around campus a little bit, talk to some different groups in the Greek life world, and sitting at 0-5 and that happening doesn't happen anywhere else. It doesn't, when you're sitting in that spot, I've been at Notre Dame, I've been at Stanford. And if you're sub 500, it's crickets at some games that I've been to. I think it was electric.
And it wasn't just electric, brother. It was packed to the brim, and it was like vibrating. And it was, I'm just looking at it like, if the support is there like that at this point, when the team had been struggling and it took that much of a spark, and you saw the entire fan base rise up and come to the game. But then as the game went on and everybody knew we had a chance to win and they were playing so well, I mean, just sitting in the stands and listening to all the conversations of people coming up talking to me about it, it was, hey, you know, they've really got to turn it around. It only took 2 weeks. They look like a good football team. All we want them to do is compete and have fun. And that is something I saw you bring from day one. When I went up there at practice on that Tuesday, man, it reminded me of when I was there. It was fast paced and it was fun, and guys were flying around. It was competitive. And the head coach is the one spearheading that. Talk about the importance of being the tip of the spear there from an energy standpoint, because as a young head coach here in college football with these young guys, you know that they feed off of that shit 100%.
Yeah, no, you're right, man. And you know, the thing that I've learned from just different styles of leadership is you got to be you, man. You know, and I respect that a lot about you. Like when we gave you the opportunity to speak to the crew, you know, I said, man, this is a guy that made his livelihood from as a small child to even currently in the trenches. You know, and that's who you are, right? And that's your special gift to this great game of football is your love for the physicality of football. And for me, you know, strangely as a quarterback, all my best friends, you know, in college, we're O-linemen, D-linemen, you know, especially the O-line crew. And then really, you know, going on to being, you know, a coach, like I've always been closest with the O-line coach. Like that's always my dog. And I'll tell you, like the couple of years where I wasn't close with an O-line coach, literally the most kind of the most brutal years of my coaching. You know, I've had a couple where I didn't, you know, like I just didn't hit it off with that guy. And if your quarterback guy and your O-line guy have that kind of relationship, man, I think that's a huge piece of the puzzle. But, you know, I think, you know, what you did at that practice, the first true game week practice that we had, you know, Tuesday before Cal, I wanted to, I brought you in as a special guest to talk about the importance of the 9-on-7 inside run drill. I like calling it inside fun because that's what it is. Yeah. And they're truly,
I truly believe that.
And you know what's funny is people think I'm insane, but I don't think I've ever been to one-on-ones because, you know, as we know, one-on-one always coincides with 9-on-7 or inside run drill. And I'm always like, man, this is where a team is made. This is where a team is forged. And making that emphasis, you know, I think, you know, coming off the bye week was critically important. So, you know, I'm just going to continue to be myself. You know, it's so interesting. Sometimes there's different things that a team needs. You know, and I think this team just needed belief. They needed physicality. They needed us to preach violence in the game of football and trenches and on the perimeter. And that's frankly what I'm all about, man. I cut my teeth at places where running the football won championships, and that's what we want to continue to do.
The head coach of the University of Colorado, Mr. Mike Sanford, joining us here on Savage and Average. Coach, you know, going into this week, the most important part about winning a game is the ability to go into the next week and win another game. Otherwise, it kind of, you know, damn it, we couldn't sustain that momentum. Now that you've got that win under your belt, I know that guys, just the light in their eyes back, they can't wait to go to practice again. Just based on the conversations I've had with them after the win, I mean, they can't wait to get back to work. And I know today that they were flying around and having a good practice, getting ready for Oregon State. Corvallis is a unique place. That place rocks. They love their football team. It's on top of you. It's going to be a night game. Talk about the challenges of going to Oregon State and getting another big win, which I think CU can't pull off this weekend.
No, they're a good ball club, man. They're a really good defensive team. I'd say, you know, for us right now, I think they're the soundest, most physical defense that we played. You know, probably since Minnesota. You know, I mean, that Minnesota defense was physical. They're good, and they continue to be a really good defense. But you know what the challenges going to Corvallis are. It's interesting. You know, they got half the stadium right now, which is just different. But the challenge going there is the travel, right? Like there's no airport right next to Corvallis. You have to fly into Eugene or Portland, where we were originally scheduled to go to Portland. So you're looking at 45-minute bus ride from here to DIA. 2.5 hour flight, assuming that you get up off the air, get up on time. And then another hour and 15 hour and a half bus ride to Corvallis, or actually we're staying in Salem, then another 45 minutes into Corvallis. So there's a lot of travel and there's a lot of sitting on your butt, man. And so I wanted to change some things with regards to how we're going to move, like physically move our players, our coaches. So we're kind of revamping some of our schedule to make sure that we get some pool stuff in when we get into the hotel. Nice. get some rolling in. We're going to do some tarmac mobility when we land.
Tarmac mobility, I dig it.
Oh yeah. We're gonna have. I told coaches, players, we're all gonna do tarmac mobility together. Do some calisthenics to get some of the lactic acid.
I can't wait to see Devan running around on the tarmac doing.
He's fired up, man. So yeah, I took the. You'd love this as a line guy, and Kyle is like, I might as well be Devan's best friend right now. He didn't like me too much before, but this was a game changer. So we did away with traveling, with the coaches traveling in coats and ties. So we're all dressed as one Buff family in our.
He's so happy with you right now. He doesn't.
I am too, man. I mean, I hate having that knotted tie. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm a football coach, man. I want to look. And so we're going in looking like one group together. But the best thing about the travel sweats is that Devan, he can actually do some deep, air squats.
And he might be able to get down there through those hips.
Yeah, and not blow out his back seat. So I think it's going to be a hell of a deal, man. And
I can't wait.
I'm excited, man, my career's been pretty insane. I've been at a lot of places, but from that crazy journey that I've had, man, I've learned a lot of things about different ways to prepare a football team to get ready to play a game. And, if my poor daughter's moved 9 times and she's 12 years old, I might as well use the experiences and the benefits of some of the coaches that I've had a chance to learn from, operationally, schedule wise, how we travel, and just put our guys in the best place to go win ball games.
So going to Corvallis this Saturday is going to be a huge test, one that I'm sure everybody's eager to go take. Let's change gears here a little bit. I know we only got you for about 10 more minutes, as I know you're busy getting ready for the Beavers. Recruiting. Okay, let's talk about this. State of Colorado, you're now the head coach of the University of Colorado. What's your game plan? Because us coaches, we always plan for the long term. And brother, I truly believe this. If that's the kind of football team you're going to put out there on a Saturday and you're going to be that energetic, that's exactly what Buffalo Country and Rick George and everybody are looking for. And then I'm your biggest advocate right now to make sure that you stay in the position you're at up there in Boulder. So, there's a lot of talent in the state of Colorado. What's your plan as the head coach to try and build a wall around this state?
Well, I think the one thing, when the season is done and if it does go in a direction, no matter what, I'm planning on, I want to go storm the state. Like I think the head coach position itself needs to have boots on the ground in these high schools consistently. I think that's a critical piece. If we have a comparable player in Colorado that's identical, height, weight, skill set to a player from California, then we have to take the Colorado player. And where I saw this come to fruition was at Boise State, right? Like, why in the world is Boise State? Why did they build such a dominant football program? Well, everybody would say they went and recruited California. In my 5 years playing there, and then my 1 year as a coordinator there, some of the best players that we had on our team were guys from the state of Idaho. There's a different level of buy-in. There's a different level of belief from the player state that, especially when you are the flagship university for that state. I mean, we are the flagship university in the state. We should never take second fiddle to anybody in this state. And then I think the other thing is there's a legacy of offensive linemen from this state, defensive linemen, edge players, tight ends from this state. We have to corner the market with those guys and get on them early. I think that's critically important. Show that we're going to be the first ones there, not be reactionary. I think what happens sometimes, and I was at Sanford, now we recruited the whole country because of the academic standards. I was a recruiting coordinator. And honestly, what I did a lot of times is I just waited to see, kind of what local school was going to offer. And then all of a sudden I'd go evaluate the player, and, for us, it's like, we are the flagship university. Like, our offer should be there before somebody else's. So people know how important it is. But we also, as you know, I mean, I'm big into evaluating players. With everything that's been going on in the course of the last, 6-7 weeks, and certainly the last 10 days, 15 days. It's a challenge because you're putting out a lot of fires. You're doing everything to put 150 people in the right position to go win a football game, including the staff. But that's a big part for me is like, I want to evaluate players. I like going to games. I like to see players. I think that'll be critical is for us to get out and watch these playoff games. Like in the state of Colorado, like I want to get out there. I want to get out there. So when we start getting deeper into the playoffs, I want to make sure that we have boots on the ground at those games.
I love it, Coach. That's fantastic. Last question for you here. The head coach of the University of Colorado, Mike Sanford, joining us here. What's a successful season for the rest of the season in your eyes? Obviously winning the last 7 and going to a bowl game and winning the bowl game would be incredible, finishing 8-5 and having that kind of turnaround. But I mean, realistically, the schedule is daunting. You guys have got some good football teams on deck. I know that we walk into every game expecting to win. What's success in your eyes for the rest of this season?
Really, success is, and this is how I built this thing with our team is our process, our weekly process getting better every single week. Because I truly believe that if your process is able to continually get better, the results truly will take care of themselves. It's pretty crazy that you asked this, but I flipped up the Pac-12 standings on Sunday. Everybody on planet Earth said we're the worst Power 5 football team in college football. Yep. And other people said, we might be in the bottom 10 teams in all of college football, including, a group of 5 schools. 1 week. Okay. 1 week. We went from being the worst Power 5 team on paper, whoever says that. Now we're in 7th place in the Pac-12 for 1 week, right? There's 12 teams in the Pac-12, right? And I know it sounds bananas, but those 3 non-conference losses that happened in the previous season, as we look at it, they mean absolutely nothing. We're 1-2 in conference play with 6 opportunities.
And a chance to get even at 500 and play the rest of the season.
And here's what I truly believe. We might not be the best, the most talented. We might not be the most advanced program. We might not even at this point have the greatest collection of NIL portal acquired players in our conference. However, we just have to be the better team on that Saturday. And if you make it about the process and you're the better team on that Saturday, then we'll continue to see what happens. And so the process has to yield it. That's what success is going to be for us. Is that process continues to get better. We don't, even today, you would love this. I was walking around watching guys get activated and stretched. And I was looking around like, hey guys, we're good. We got our 1 game out of it. We got our 1 win out on the season. We're good. Like we don't even need to work hard anymore, man. We're good. Right. And I got the D line going pretty good. So, but like that's what I want them to know that like, we didn't show up here to win a game. Like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, we're showing up to be better this week than we were the last week. We can't control everything, but we can control our preparation. We control how much film we watch. We control how hard we go at practice. We control our habits because habits become, boring habits become trained behavior and trained behavior becomes instinct. And that's what we got to continue to enact that behavior here over the course of these next 6 weeks.
Well, brother, I know that myself and everybody down to 6-0, the entire Dungeon family and the entire state of Colorado is behind you. Can't wait to watch you go play up in Corvallis and watch this team overcome more adversity and hopefully come home with a huge win on the road. Coach Mike Sanford, thank you so much for coming on the show, bro, and taking the time out of your evening to talk to everybody out here in Buffalo country. And go get a W on Saturday, Coach. Thank you, brother.
Hey, I really appreciate it. Hey, appreciate all you do too, man. You've done a lot for us already. You have impacted so many players on our team. And they believe in you. We believe in you because of what you've done for this university, what you've done. I know how much this place means to you. That's where I love it comes from. And we're really appreciative of you, man. So
I really appreciate you, brother. Have a great trip. Be safe and go up there and kick some ass.
Yes, sir. Let's go do it, man.
Later, brother.
All right. We'll see you, Chaz.
Awesome to have Coach Mike Sanford, the head coach of the University of Colorado, on the show tonight on Savage and Average. Boy, Trav, that guy makes me want to run through a fucking wall. I'm over here sweating like a whore in church, bro. I'm ready to fucking go. I'm telling you that he's a young, motivated coach that's been through a lot of different systems. And he said he's moved 9 times in 12 years. I'm telling you, man, I think he's the guy for the future up in Boulder. And I'm not just saying that because we get along with each other and shit. I really think he could be the guy to turn this around. The way that the players responded to him, and I believe him when he talks about the recruiting for so many. I mean, look, man, you're interwoven into the business of 6-0 Academy. You're the COO down there. You hear and see all the recruiting battles. Do you believe him when he says he can build a wall around the state? Because I do.
I do. I do believe that he can do that. And, the first brick of building that wall was this past weekend, the energy. I mean, it was, the things that I was seeing and observing was just how the players were attacking the ball. But also how he was up and down that sideline. Like
he was sprinting up and down.
Yeah. I mean, like he wasn't with a headset. He wasn't sitting there just zoned in and, just talking to the coaches like you see a lot of times. And one of the things that he said was that he talked about was that the tarmac stuff. And those just what people will say are quirky things and whatnot. But those are things that are going to set him aside and going to cause him to have success and going to build that trust within the program. It may be weird on the outside, but it's something else. There's another coach that does those kind of things. And it's amazing the kind of relationship and bonds that get built to where those guys will go and just go to war for
well,
them.
If you'll sell out for your guys, especially in college, look, there's 2 different games. There's the NFL game where it's a business and all this hoorah, kumbaya family shit is like, yeah, okay, do your fucking job and let's win a game. And then there's college where that is your family. And regardless of the transfer portal, you're with the same guys pretty much the whole time. And the ones that are supposed to be there stay and build, and there's a foundation. And you always come home to those guys. And yeah, the coaches that are a little like woohoo and weird, well, they usually get along with the players a little bit better because good football players are fucking weirdos. I mean, the majority of us are kind of a little bit off our rocker. So I dig the fact that a young, exuberant head coach can have a man-to-man conversation with me where, man, we had Carl on the show last year. And it was like, no offense to Darrell or anything, but it was like talking to the wall, bro. Like I couldn't get anything out. I couldn't even get the guy to smile. Yeah. So I'm really excited about the future of Colorado football. And I'm hoping on Saturday that they take the same effort and aggression to Corvallis, because one thing I am worried about is letdown from an emotional win like that. I know that's hard for college guys to get up on that level. So what a great interview. We'll just wrap the show there and get it going for this week. Obviously, the Broncos have been struggling. We'll see how they do against my Jets this weekend. The Bucs go to Corvallis. CSU hosts Hawaii. Air Force hosts Boise. And we'll have a bunch of guys from the Dungeon family up in Fort Collins and down in the Springs to watch those games.
And playing in that game.
Oh, and tons of guys playing in that game too. Yeah, the Air Force and Boise, there's shit, man. I'd say there's at least 10, 12 guys on Air Force's roster. And I'd say, there's 4, 6 guys on Boise State's roster. So a ton of Dungeon family playing against each other down in Colorado Springs. Air Force has had a hard time beating Boise State. So that's going to be a huge game for them down there to see if they can win their division this year and actually play in the Mountain West title game. They're going to need to win it too after they dropped one at Wyoming earlier this season. So we'll see how all that goes. Next week on Savage and Average, we're going to try and do this and see if it works, but we're going to do a little NFL roundtable, and we're going to have Morgan Fox, who's the defensive lineman for the Los Angeles Chargers, Mike Pennell, King Pennell, who's a defensive lineman for the Chicago Bears, who play on Monday night, and then Connor McGovern, who is the starting center for the New York Jets, the good guys, gang green right here, bitch. He'll join us as well on Tuesday after the big Jet Bronco game at Sports Authority, or what do they call that place now? Empower Field. Unlimited Field. It's unlimited. It's Mr. Unlimited Field. So, God, man, I'll tell you. just full circle back to Russell Wilson here. That guy's really pissing me off. Okay, 250 million fucking bucks, and that's the video that we get. Did you watch the video, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
Bro, like, okay, just remove the fact that that's Russell Wilson and tell me the person making that video is not fucking nuts.
Hey guys, Russell here. Yes, the typical boring, yes, Russell, the robot Russell, the one you guys love to know. Real exciting. Yeah, I'm real exciting. But anyways, everybody has to have an alter ego, right? And I've been thinking about what my alter ego would be, and I think I have an alter ego. His name's Mr. Unlimited. You gotta be unlimited. You gotta have a thought process of being unlimited. So when people ask you, what you're thinking about or what you want to do in life or where you want to go, you got to be unlimited. Tell them, I'm unlimited. You know what I mean? So when they ask you certain questions like,
who brings you motivation, Russell?
Mr. Unlimited.
Who's your role model, Russell?
Unlimited.
Who's your go-to person for advice, Russell?
They think Pete Carroll, they think this person, think that person. Love you, Pete, but it's Mr. Unlimited. Tell them.
Like, it's concerning, bro. Like,
Yeah.
Everybody's got an alter ego, and my alter ego is Mr. Unlimited. Like, dude, you sound like a mental patient.
Yeah,
It's weird. It sounds like we should send him to one of these cuckoo houses and be like, okay, you remember that movie with Bruce Willis where he thought he was a superhero and Samuel L. Jackson was a superhero, but they were like the two most dysfunctional superheroes ever that wouldn't use their powers? That, like, Russell Wilson should be with those three. Like, it should be Bruce, Samuel, Russell, and then McAvoy. McAvoy was the guy with like 10, 12 personalities, right? Yeah. And then Mr. Unlimited should be there too. And they should all be sitting there talking about how they're superheroes. And then the doctor's sitting there like, okay, Russell, you're a superhero. And then it goes to that box for like crazy and check. So look, man, I know that $250 million can buy you nice cars and nice houses. And, I know you got Sierra on your shoulder and everything's grand at the Russell Wilson household, but it's not the Denver Wilsons. It is the Denver Broncos. And until Russell Wilson decides to honor the fact that he is playing for the Denver Broncos and a franchise where he's not the best player at his position, not even close. In Seattle, he's their all-time great quarterback, and he's revered and they love him, although they did want to get rid of his ass really fast. In Denver, he's a far third, and it's not close. And he's going to have to do a ton to climb that mountain. If he wants to get on the Mount Rushmore Broncos, he's got to do more than guys named Manning and Elway. And in my opinion, those are two of the top 5 quarterbacks that have ever played, and 7 is God at that position. So, look, Russell, you are the quarterback for the Denver Broncos, not the quarterback for the Denver Wilsons. Please wake up and start playing to your potential. So that is episode, whatever the fuck it was, don't remember, of Savage and Average. That is Travis Jones. I am Matt McChesney. Thank you so much to Coach Mike Sanford for coming to join us on the show. And hopefully the Bucs can go get a huge win at Corvallis. That's a wrap. Thank you.